So I started one podcast and somehow I now have 3. I genuinely don't know how this happened, how I ended up with Litdulterous. What do you think makes a villain stay with a reader after the book ends? Like, what do you think was so unique about your story that people are still talking about it now?
Oh, well, I prepped a lot before I wrote these. I interviewed a lot of people that were in prison for murders, right down to psychopaths or drug dealers that killed somebody else, people that killed somebody on accident. If somebody's in prison and you pick up the phone or you write a letter and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, chances are they've got some free time.
From the right kind of BookTok.
And where would sci-fi be without time travel? And with this book, I'm going to choose The Ministry of Time. Although time travel can exist in fantasy literature as well, it's largely associated within science fiction. Now, this trope sees the central characters jumping backwards and or forwards in time, inevitably causing trouble for themselves or the wider world. Okay, next, interstellar politics. Now, this one really isn't my jam. I did really enjoy the Illuminae files.
How I ended up with Bookslayers.
Welcome back to Bookslayers, where we put dark fiction. Oh God! Oh no! Here we go. Well, this will be good for outtakes up here.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back to Bookslayers, where we put dark fiction podcasts. No, fuck it. I'm gonna have one of those days. This is fucking stupid as fuck. Can't even read anymore. Such a stressful.
Take 3.
1, 2, 3.
How I ended up with Stacey and Jace for the book.
I love Mushy.
Mushy was great.
I love a good sidekick animal.
Yeah, we do.
We mushroom.
It was adorable. It was adorable. All the editing, all the recording, all the reading, all of the things I have to make in Canva, all the emails I have to send, rinse, repeat, talking to authors on socials, creating social content. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect houseplants. Apparently, I collect podcasts. And today, I'm confessing exactly how that happened. So, it started innocently enough. Like every terrible idea that eventually takes over your life, this one started with one simple thought. I should start a podcast. That was it. I was already book influencing. I was already doing all the things I could be doing as an influencer, and I felt stale. So that was it. One podcast, one microphone, a ridiculous amount of opinions about books that absolutely nobody asked me to give. I genuinely thought, hey, this'll be fun. And looking back, this version of me, she was so adorable. Because honestly, I had no idea what I was signing up for. I thought podcasting literally meant I find the software, I get a microphone, I hit record, I talk about books, I upload my episode, and I'm done. Nobody tells you that recording is actually about 20% of podcasting. Yeah, you heard that. You heard me right. 20% of the work. So where is that other 80%? Oh, it's in the editing. It's in doing all the stuff on social media. And I don't just mean posting some clips, because there's only so many clips that you can post in a week from your episode without giving away the whole episode. So you have to find other clever ways to showcase who you are and what you do on your social medias without just taking from your podcast. It's exhausting. Then you have to write the captions and As anyone knows that uses social media, TikTok likes something different. Instagram likes something different. BookTube Shorts likes something different. Facebook likes something different. It's insane. And then you have to find some guests, because as a solo podcaster, you know that having guests on means hitting more audience. And then you have to do your emailing. You have to schedule stuff because not everybody lives in the same time zone as you. No. I found that one out the hard way. It's not like I was unawares, but seriously, I have literally had to do an author interview with somebody in Australia, and it was like 4:30 in the afternoon for us, and she just got up the following day. So yeah, that was fabulous. So making sure things work for you and your guests sucks. And then you have to create the graphics. You have to make sure that all your hardware is working correctly, because, oh my God, fixing microphones mid-conversation is the most frustrating thing on the planet. And you have to then wonder why your microphone has suddenly stopped working right before you're about to record, when it worked perfectly fine the day before. You're basically running a tiny media company, except nobody is paying for HR. Nobody is covering your desk when you're sick. It's all on you, baby. You are everything. And to start with, you get paid nothing. But then I discovered the problem. I found that one podcast wasn't enough. Not because I didn't love it, but because I kept having all these different ideas that really didn't fit what I was originally doing with my main platform. Sometimes I wanted to spend an hour completely tearing one book apart. Sometimes I wanted to sit down with authors and ask every question I'd been dying to know. Sometimes I just wanted complete freaking chaos. And there isn't really one podcast that allows you to do all of those things. So naturally, instead of picking one direction, I was like, F it. I choose them all. Like collecting Pokemon. But just so you know, spoiler alert, that really isn't the easiest or smartest solution in this case. Now, I started out with my first co-host experiment. Before my podcasts had multiplied, I did an experiment. And like many experiments, it exploded right in my face. I first decided that I needed to have a second podcast with a co-host, because lots of bookish podcasts have two hosts. And I thought it would be easier to have somebody to bounce stuff off of. Half the work, right? And I was so excited. Like, on paper, this sounded perfect. It looked perfect. And I finally found somebody on Facebook, and she loved books just like I did. And we read a lot of the same books. So we recorded together. We had ideas. We made some big plans. Scratch that. I made big plans. But I became acutely aware of something almost right away. I'm the kind of person that wants to build something, not just record it. I wanted to build something that was going to make Oprah wince at the very thought that someone was coming up behind her, but we're all books. I wanted the guests. I wanted the social media clout. I wanted the book community to stand up and take notice. I wanted to get part of book tours and all the big book events. I wanted brainstorming sessions at 11 o'clock at night. I wanted the what if we tried this conversations. I wanted it all. I had big plans. But as much as I enjoyed her as a person, we just did not see eye to eye. She was more of a, I'll see you on recording day. Now, honestly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. not everybody wants podcasting to become their entire personality trait. But when you're trying to build something with somebody else, you have to be building in the same direction. And eventually, it just became obvious that we wanted really different things. Now, nobody was the villain here. Nobody stormed out dramatically. We didn't vote nobody off no island. We simply had very different ideas about what kind of podcast and what kind of effort we should be putting in. So the partnership ended. And for about 5 minutes, I honestly thought, well, you know what? Maybe podcasting with another person just isn't going to work for me. Maybe I'm better off doing this on my own and just inviting guests on. Turns out life had other plans. Enter my cousin. Then my cousin enters a chat. Now, finding someone who matches your energy can be dangerous because suddenly every ridiculous idea sounds completely reasonable. So instead of saying, maybe that's too much, we say, fuck yeah. Then one idea becomes another idea, and then that turns into another idea, and then you snowball into what if ideas. And before either of us knew what was happening, we weren't just talking about her coming on as a guest. Nope. We now had our own platform. We had our own platform. And honestly, I probably should have seen this coming. Because to go from guest host to, oh my God, we need t-shirts was really inevitable with me and my cousin. But then, why stop at 2? Most people stop at 2, okay? They stop at 2 kids, 2 pets, 2 hobbies. Apparently, I looked at 2 podcasts and thought, you know what this needs? A 3rd one. Because clearly, free time was becoming a problem. I really didn't like having it. Every time I have what feels like a brilliant idea, my calendar immediately files a complaint. Okay, so you might be wondering what kind of week I have. Coffee, lots of coffee, spending hours in Canva, editing in Riverside, scheduling this for 3 podcasts is a nightmare, reading emails for our book touring, talking to authors, reading, walking my dog, filling in my Google Calendar and then forgetting that I did it, creating spreadsheets and doing things in Notion, packaging book orders because I have a book merch store. People ask me all the time, what is it actually like running 3 podcasts? And I always say this, imagine trying to keep 3 Tamagotchis alive while reading 6 books, answering 200 emails, editing your podcasts, creating content, planning author interviews with questions and scheduling, doing book tours, trying to remember what day it is, trying to remember if you fed yourself that day. That's pretty close. Now, I don't run 3 podcasts. 3 podcasts run me. And at some point, this stopped being a hobby and quietly became who I am as a personality trait. But here's the best part. I love all of it. I wouldn't change it because this isn't really about podcasts anymore. It's about people. The authors who trust us enough to tell their stories. The readers who send messages saying, I picked up that book because of you. The ridiculous conversations that somehow started with fantasy books. It's with us debating whether we'd survive 5 minutes in literally any fictional world. Newsflash, probably not. And somehow, every single week, you all keep showing up. Y'all listen. You comment. You laugh with us. well, you probably scream at your screen at us sometimes. Sometimes you read books purely because we told you they were going to emotionally destroy you. And that community is easily the best part of all of this. So why am I starting these confessionals? Well, because every single week, something completely ridiculous happens behind the scenes. There's always a guest who nearly didn't make it. Technology decides it's no longer going to work. An email arrives that makes me question my reality. A book completely ruins my emotional stability. My cousin says something that absolutely cannot make it into the actual podcast, but I leave it in anyway. And I have thoughts and feelings about the things that she said. Or me and Jace will have a conversation about a book or a fictional man, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I always think people would probably enjoy hearing that. So, welcome. This is the start of Confessionals. Confessions of a Book Podcaster. You're gonna get my versions of events. You're gonna get Jace's versions of events. She's my co-host on Spell the Book. You are going to get my cousin Jackie's confessionals. She is my co-host on Bookslayers. You are going to get the completely unpolished, before it's been edited version of our shows. You're going to get when I cackled my face off, or when I spilt my tea in my lap, or all the things that lead up to the insanity that is our lives. The coffee that didn't brew fast enough, or the fact I had to rush the dog walking because my shoelace came untied and I fell on my face. These are all the things you're going to get to see. All the behind the scenes stories. All the wins. All the disasters. And honestly, there is a lot more bloody disasters than there are wins. We have book tours that we do. So you're going to get to see all that chaos, all the bloopers, the caffeine-fueled decisions that somehow become projects. Basically, you're going to get the director's commentary for our bookish lives. Because I'm not just talking me, I'm talking them. We are going to show you what it's like to be a book mom talker, okay? Where books and being a mom and being a mess is basically your identity. Charlene! If you've somehow survived this entire story, I thank you. And if you've ever accidentally turned one hobby into 3 full-time jobs, please know that you are not alone. Leave me a comment and let me know what's the one thing in your life that's completely spiraled out of control, but in the very best way. And if you want even more behind the scenes chaos, that is exactly what Patreon is for. This is exactly where this series is going to sit. I will have a whole extra segment all about Jace coming right behind mine, so make sure you stick around for that. And know that Confessions of a Book Podcaster will be an ongoing series on all of the Patreons, so Spill the Books, Bookslayers, and on my Litdulterous channel as well, so you can catch all the extra insanity over there every week. Because trust me, something weird is guaranteed to happen before then. I will see you next time.
I was supposed to be a guest. One guest. That's it. I was going to show up, talk about books, carry on with my life. Instead, now I co-host Spill the Book. I get to interview authors. That book hit me so hard in the feels, I can't even.
It did me too. It did me as well. It was hard to put down.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
I think I read it in like 2 days, and then I was like, Stace, I want to talk to her for real. We're gonna have her on the podcast.
We have had many conversations about this book. Many, many, many.
Can't guarantee there's not going to be tears because I wept for the good 2 chapters.
2 chapters?
Yeah.
You want me to cry for 2 chapters? I thought we were friends. I help run book tours. My social media has blown up more than I thought it would, which is wild. How did one podcast episode turn into this? Today I'm telling you the story of how one little yes completely changed my life. I was just there to talk about books. If you've been around for a while, you already know I don't just like books. I have a full-blown personality built around them. Give me romance, romantasy, morally gray men who need therapy. I'm sold. But when Stacey asked if I wanted to come on the podcast, I hesitated. She wanted to do a deep dive on a book I had no interest in reading again. But I still said yes. Then I waged war inside myself. Do I really want to do this? I was so uncomfortable with the idea of being online like that. But instead, I just asked if we could do a deep dive on Taylor Jenkins Reid instead. And she loved the idea. Great. Now I have to do this. Or do I? I could still say no. I could change my mind. But we'll talk about books. We'll laugh. I'll go home. I'll do what guests do. Apparently not.
I think for somebody like Evelyn Hugo, though, who has built her entire life on being this other person, I don't think she knew herself well at all. She was who the producers made her from a very young age. They changed her hair. They changed her name. When she mentions at one point even, I don't remember, was it Luisa? Or was her maid or whatever later? She was speaking Spanish and she didn't know that Evelyn spoke it. And Evelyn's like, that's her fault because nobody, she knows I don't talk about it. So like, she was a product of what they made her.
Right. So do you think that's one? You think that's one of the reasons why she didn't know who she was, so she just kept doing what she did know?
Probably. She knew how to be an actor. I don't think there was very much in her life that was real, except for maybe like her friendship with Harry Cameron. That was real. The love she had for her daughter. That was real.
Here's what you need to know about Stacey. She doesn't just have ideas. She has a condition. The woman's brain never shuts off. She'll start off a sentence with, so, and I'm immediately like, what have you volunteered me for now? Because it never ends with so. It ends with, so I had an idea. And somehow, against all logic, I say yes. Every single time. I just never left. After that first episode, something clicked, and it didn't feel like work. It just felt like hanging out with one of my best friends and talking about books. And then people started following me, watching the reviews, listening to the reels, listening to our podcast every week, which surprised me. I thought everyone was just there for the books. But it turns out, some of you are here for us, to watch us argue over books. And honestly, fair. The slippery slope. Somewhere along the way, our podcast became extra content, Patreon, book tours, interviews, events, reality-style show chaos. A sensible person would have asked questions. Like, bro, what are we doing? How much work is this going to be? Is this sustainable? Instead, I just went, yeah, sounds like fun, which has been a reoccurring theme in my life since meeting Stacey. Now, the part nobody tells you. I genuinely thought podcasting was just show up, talk, leave. No one told me about the editing, the scheduling, the emails, the social media, reading, and then reading 5 other books because someone says you have to read this. Then there's Canva, planning tours, the interview prep, technology deciding today's the day it wants to ruin my life. At one point, I looked at Stacey and asked, do people really know how much work goes into this? She laughed at me. Not the comforting response I was hoping for. But we kind of did this to ourselves. The funniest part, none of this was some master plan. We weren't trying to build a brand or a business or whatever this is. We just kept saying yes. Yes to another interview, to another event, to another completely unnecessary but hilarious idea. And somehow, this turned into this. And I honestly think our biggest strength is just how much fun we're having, because there's a pretty good chance you're having fun too. The best part isn't the books. The books are what brought me here. But that's not what made me stay. It's the people. It's meeting the authors and the readers and the listeners, getting messages from people who said that the podcast helped them that week. That part still blows my mind. I never expected the community. I never expected to feel like the friends I've made online are really my friends. That's the best part by far. But why we're doing confessionals? When Stacey said we should do confessionals, I laughed because of course she did. The more I thought about it, the more I realized some of my favorite stories have never made it onto the podcast. It's that 5 minutes before we record and the 20 minutes after. It's the bloopers. And now I have them all as trophies and I just forgot.
Happy Tuesday. No.
It's Thursday.
My fucking God. Welcome back to Spill the Squad. That's not right. Spill the Squad. Okay, I can see it's going to be one of those days for me as well. I am channeling Jackie. Okay.
But she doesn't even have the shoes. What? But she doesn't even have the shoes she was until a moment ago standing in. I can't read today. Wow. The panic, the technical disasters, the conversations that spiral completely off the rails. That's the stuff I love. So, welcome to Confessionals. This is where we're spilling everything in between the episodes. If you told me a few years ago that I would be interviewing authors, helping run tours, hosting a podcast, building this brand with one of my best friends, and reading books that would emotionally wreck me, that part I would have believed you. Everything else, I would have laughed in your face. But I'm really glad that I said yes, because one little guest appearance has turned into something that I genuinely love. So trust me and tell me, what is the last one little yes that completely changed your life? I want to hear your stories. And until I see you next week, or unless Stacey calls me first, because as we all know, so means I have one other job I need to do. Politics and leaders head up and talk lies. Missiles of war, the poor and chastised.